want to ask you, like, so I think of myself. I mean, I think the thing, my goal. You mentioned like what is our goals in this? Like, what are we trying doing it for? And I definitely think of like long term health.
Yep.
Is I mean, I think that's definitely a driver for me. Just like I mean, actually, and that brings up another question. Like, what gets you out of bed to do all this stuff every day? You know what I mean?
Well, so
Like it's not like some people like what motivates you. Like, is it really motivation? Because I don't watch Rocky every night. Like, I'm not like, you know what I mean? And there's
yeah,
times where I get out of bed and I stare at my shoes and I don't want to go. You
yeah.
know, like what is that thing that gets you going and keeps you going, and then what is the long term kind of goal?
So I have depression. I've been diagnosed with it for many years now, treated, and but I have found with the running that it has a distinctly positive impact on my mood. It's noticeable, and that's far and away more than any other exercise. And I mean, we know from research that exercise in general, especially cardiovascular exercise, but exercise in general has a positive impact on mood. So, and like I told you, I've exercised pretty much my entire adult life in some form or another. This is another level. And so that's a big part of it. And
Do you think that has to do with the men? Like, I've had people recommend to me I should try meditation, which I'm interested in. I plan to because I've been challenged to. But but I think of my running as meditation.
And you're not wrong. And it's interesting you should bring that up because so in trauma treatment, one of the kind of gold standard treatments is called EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And one of the key elements of that is bilateral stimulation, activating both hemispheres of the brain by stimulating both sides of the body, right? So it started with having, the therapist would hold up two fingers and they would have you follow the fingers back and forth as you talked about the traumatic event. And the theory is that doing that, activating both hemispheres while talking about it, enables that traumatic memory to exit short-term memory storage and kind of shuffle off towards long-term memory. It's almost like the memory gets stuck in a sense, and so your brain keeps processing it like it just happened or like it's still happening.
Makes sense.
What we find is that bilateral stimulation helps in a lot of respects. So the research has kind of, as often happens, we're studying one thing, but we find some other ancillary stuff as well. Right. So the research about bilateral stimulation has also demonstrated that it can have just sort of a generally positive impact on mood, on, kind of our overall sense of well-being. There's some thought that it might, improve cognitive processing. And what are you doing when you're running? You've got bilateral stimulation, and you've got it sustained usually for, 20 minutes to half an hour at the minimum for most runners, and a lot of us who do any distance, you're talking an hour or more. Most people who meditate don't meditate that long.
Right.
But so you're in a sense, you're almost kind of in a meditative state. I find now I'm a big addict to my earbuds. I will admit that, and I love having the cadence of the music to run to. But I do find that on the occasions when I run without music, that benefit, that meditative benefit, is increased.
Right.
So it's funny that I should probably make more time for running.
Yeah, I've
quiet.
I used to run a lot with music, and I kind of went away for it. Then I've been running with like podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
But I never more than like half, I would say, because I do find I process things and think of things but like the shower effect. You're sitting in the shower and you have an idea that like, oh, where'd that come from? Well, that's a good idea.
Yep.
Like I definitely get those, and I notice them less when I'm podcasting or music or whatever.
Yeah.